Piya Ruchi, Maha Ruchi Rakhey, Prema Rasa Koi Rakhey. Jo
So as we discussed yesterday, Jagadguru Shree Kripaluji Maharaj is explaining what we need to do and what we need not to do in order to get the bliss of divine love. Here he says, that person who considers heaven to be equal to hell will get divine love. Many times people ask this question, is this the only planet on which life exists? Well, if that was the case, all these stars that we see in the sky would serve no purpose other than decoration for us. However, when God has created such an immense universe, it is likely that there is life in other places as well. The Nobel Prize winner George Wald, in his book, A Universe That Breeds Life, estimates that this sun is one of the 100 billion stars in the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is one of the 1 billion galaxies within the reach of the telescopes of the scientists. That means 10 to the power 20 stars like our sun exist. So he says, if we assume that life exists in even 1% of the planets of these stars, life exists in so many places. Now that is guesswork by the scientists. Our Vedas tell us that there are different planes of existence. So above our worldly plane, this is Bhulok, there is Bhuva, Swa, Maha, Jana, Tapa, Satya. Christians also have this reference to the seventh heaven, and Muslims talk about Satwa Asman. The Vedas are telling us in detail that there are lower abodes, Tal, Atal, Vital, Sutal, Taratal, Rasatal, Patal, and these higher abodes. In these higher abodes, the facility for material enjoyment is tremendous. Just like even in our earthly planet there are gradations. The facility for enjoyment in USA is many times more than India. You have got here Las Vegas and Disneyland. So the Vedas inform us that in these higher planes, there are hundreds and thousands and millions of times more facilities for enjoyment. However, the fact that there is more enjoyment does not bring a person closer to God. So someone whose focus is love for God doesn't care for all these. They only bring darkness of the soul. One Indian Acharya, he established a huge organization. And in his heyday, he went to England. Now he was a very successful Acharya. So in England, the reporters accosted him. And they said, Swamiji, in your Hindu tradition, just like in our Christian tradition there is a hell, in your Hindu tradition is there any hell? So very naturally he said, of course, London is a hell. Now what he expressed was the natural feeling of a devotee. Where there is no God consciousness, it is hell. So the focus in this keertan is absolutely razor sharp. God and nothing else. It's like that common example of the one and so many zeros. Without the one, all those zeros are absolutely useless. And if you have the one, you have everything. There's the story that once a king, he had many queens. So he went from his Arabian kingdom to a developed country. And he wrote back to his queens, what do you want from here? All the queens, they wrote their desired items. I want a Cadillac car, and I want a mink coat. The youngest queen, she wrote the numeral 1 and she sent it. Now when he returned, that sheikh, he sent the gifts to all his queens, but he himself went to visit the youngest queen. And he said, what was the meaning of this one? I could not figure it out. What did you want? That queen said, I wanted you alone and I have got you. So similarly, the goal is we want God alone. That is the purpose of life. That is the purpose of spirituality. If we have God, if our consciousness is going to Him, that's fine. Without Him, it is all useless. So Kripaluji Maharaj has put it so amazingly that he says the person who considers Swarg to be as good as Narak, there is no difference. Now, the material facilities may be higher, but the same lust, anger, greed, all these things that exist in our earthly plane, they exist in the celestial abodes as well. Hence, Devraj Indra, the king of heaven, is subject to these things. Because there is Maya. This is the realm of Maya. In the realm of Maya, there are places which are dominated by Tamogun. We call them hellish abodes. There are places that are dominated by Rajogun, that is our earthly abode. There are places that are dominated by Sattvagun, these are the celestial abodes. So, firstly he says that that devotee has no respect for Swarg. The Bhagavatam states, Na parameshtyam na mahendradhishnyam na sarvabhaumam na rasadhipatyam na yoga siddhira punarbhavam va vanchati yat padaraja prapanna. The devotee prays to God and says, my Lord, those devotees who are surrendered to your lotus feet, If they were offered the Singhasan, the throne of Indra, or the throne of Brahma or Vishnu, they would reject it if it meant their going away from your lotus feet. The further Kripaluji Maharaj mentions that aspirant who looks on liberation with disdain, mukti, the devotees, they make great fun of mukti. Dure tishta managana kasikatham kuryadanaryam mai twadgandhan nijanam chandana rasa lepyasya lopo bhavet. One devotee was doing his bhajan when mukti, liberation, personified. The devotee said, "Where have you come from?" "Oh, I wish that you please adopt me." "Get out right now, I don't want you out here." So that is the kind of ridicule that devotees heap upon mukti. Why is that? Mukti is the professed goal of so many philosophers. The Buddhist philosophy, what is the final goal? Nirvana. The Buddha stated the 4 truths, noble truths. Anybody know them? The first noble truth, there is suffering. The second noble truth, suffering has a cause. Third noble truth, the cause of suffering is desire. Fourth, if desire is finished, suffering will finish. So his goal was how to finish suffering. In the Vedic tradition as well, many philosophers and scriptures stop at this point, how to finish suffering. The Sankhya Darshan talks about it. It says, dukkha traya bhighata jigyasa tad bhighatake hetau. It says, you are suffering. Try and find out the cause of this suffering. Kutrapi kopi sukhi tadapi dukkha shabalamiti dukkha pakshe nikshipante vivechaka. Nobody is happy. So why are we suffering? Try and find it out and eliminate it. The Nyaya Darshan has made this its goal. It says you understand these 16 entities. Praman, Prameya, Sanshaya, Prayojan, Drishtanta, Siddhanta, Vayav, Tark, Nirnay, Vad, Jalp, Vitanda, Hitva, Bhas, Chalajati, Nigraha, Sthananam, Tattva, Jnanam, Nishreyasadhigama. And through the knowledge of these 16 entities, you will get liberated. The Vaisheshik Darshan states the same. We will not go in the detail. In other words, many spiritual philosophers have determined that the goal of life is mukti or liberation. However, the Rasik saints, the devotees of God, say, no, your knowledge is incomplete. Your knowledge is yet missing the whole point. You wish to be liberated, that should absolutely not be the goal. Your goal should be to attain God. Liberation will be a consequence. The reason why you are suffering is because you are separated from God. This material energy is a servant of God. And it's serving God. Just like I went through the dining hall just now and everybody was engaged in different services. So you enjoy serving. So material energy is also serving. And the service that material energy enjoys is slapping the souls. Don't come towards me, go towards God. So in somebody's family there is a fight, somebody's having a fight with the business partner, somebody's having a tough time with the mortgage, and somebody's health problems are creating hell and so on. These are all the creations of Maya. So the aim is not to finish suffering, the aim is to reach the destination which is God. We must try and find out what is our relationship with God and try and establish that relationship. We have an amazingly close relationship with Him, but we have forgotten. Just like there's a story that one boy, he fought with his father. And he said, I don't need you, I'll go and stand on my own feet. He went off. He went to other villages, he tried to establish himself, and he became a rich person. In his separation, this father was he went insane. Few years went by, the son thought, let me now go back to my father. So he was going back to his village. His father was searching around for him. They came and stayed in the same hotel, and they were in adjacent rooms. So the father, in his state of insanity, was mumbling and talking to himself. The son was getting irritated. He called the hotel manager, what kind of madman have you kept in your hotel? The father said, whom are you calling madman? He spoke through the wall. I am talking to that person who's speaking in such loud voices. So the son said, do you know I am from such and such village? He spoke with pride. The father said, I am also from the same village. Do you know I am the son of that father who for one small reason threw his son out? The father heard. He walked out, he walked into the other room. Beta! Now the son realized it's his father. Immediately they embraced. In other words, they had this relationship, but they had forgotten. So we have our relationship with God, which we have forgotten. And the aim of spirituality is to help establish that relationship. Even in spirituality, there are many fascinating and alluring things. Sometimes people come, Swamiji, you know, when I meditate, I hear a bell and I see stars. So they're thinking Swamiji should be impressed. I said, never mind, keep meditating, they'll go away. The goal of your meditation is not to hear bells and see stars. The goal of your meditation is to connect with God. Somebody came to Krishna Paramahans and he said, you know, the Theosophical Society talks about these celestial abodes in which people have 6 senses and 7 senses like we have 5. And they talk about intergalactic travel and astral travel. Krishna Paramahans said, that is all very well. But ask these people of the Theosophical Society, are they increasing their longing for God and shedding tears in His love? If they are not, all this talk is useless. Now that is the razor-sharp focus of the saints. And that is the focus that Kripaluji Maharaj is intensifying in this keertan. So he says that mukti, liberation, that is a very tiny thing. You strive for God, liberation will come automatically. हरि दासी है मुक्ति सब सबे जीव हरिदास राधे राधे. Bhakti Shatak. Mukti is the maid servant of God. The souls are the servants of God. Maha mood jo Swami taji kar dasi ki aas radhe radhe. If somebody leaves the master, God, and runs after the maid servant, Mukti, that person is grossly foolish. And there's a big problem. You see, if you strive for God, you will automatically get liberated. But if you run after liberation, now those who run after liberation, what is the sadhana? You stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking, stop thinking. Or they meditate on the formless aspect of God. I am God, I am God, I am God. So when they leave their body, if they attain perfection in their sadhana, once they leave their body, they go and merge into the effulgence of God, called the Brahma Jyoti. That was their goal. How can I merge into God? How can I become one with God? The soul goes and merges into the Brahma Jyoti. Now it remains there forever. So now they become devoid of the bliss of seeing God, the bliss of relishing His divine pastimes, the bliss of serving Him. Just like, what is your favorite item? Shrikhand? Alright, then do one thing. You become Shrikhand. The person will say, if I become Shrikhand, how will I relish the sweetness of Shrikhand? The sweetness of Shrikhand can only be relished if I stay separate from it and savor it with my tongue. Similarly, that person who has merged into God is now devoid of the bliss of God. So the bliss of God is experienced not in Advait, but in Dvait. After God realization also, these souls, the God realized saints, they retain their individual personality to relish the bliss of divine love. So that person who runs after mukti, those who are rotating in the world, ocean of life and death, well, they are in misery, they are in pain, but one day they may meet a saint who will help them. And those who run after liberation, too much pain, get liberated. They have become devoid of it forever. That is why the Bhakti saints, they say this desire for liberation is the biggest danger. Stay away from it. Kaivalyam narakayate. Prabodhanand Saraswati. He says this Kaivalya, desire for liberation, it is like hell. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the same, Moksha Vancha Kaitav Pradhan. Kaitav means fault. The biggest fault on this path will be to desire or to embrace liberation. So Kripaluji Maharaj says that those souls who have understood from their Guru, who have filled this knowledge in their head, and they look on liberation as a witch. Supposing you were to go into the forest and you found a witch in front of you. Nowadays, I'm quite amused to find hundreds of witches Halloween time? All these witches everywhere, ghosts and witches. But let's say, we are sure that this witch is an artificial one, but if you were to find a true witch in the forest, would you run forward to embrace? Run the other way. So similarly, that person who considers liberation to be like a witch and runs away from it will get prema ras. And further, he says, he does not even desire riddhi and siddhi. Siddhis are mystic abilities. These mystic abilities are also of two kinds. One are fraud and the other are genuine. There was one Babaji in Mumbai. So he used to manifest objects. He had this sofa on which he would sit with his hand like this, and he would say, "What fruit do you want?" There was a list of fruits. So whichever fruit you say, kela, then he would say kela, and he would manifest it with his hand. So one person came up and Babaji said, "What do you want?" He said, "Santra." So Babaji said, "Santra." Nothing happened. He said, "Santra." Again, nothing happened. He said, "I am saying Santra, can't you hear me?" From below the voice came, "Guruji, Santras have finished." So those are the fraud siddhis, but there are genuine siddhis as well. Through the Ashtanga Yoga sadhana, when a person concentrates the mind, there are mystic abilities that one develops. Now, mystic abilities may come naturally, that's a different matter. But if somebody runs towards mystic abilities, then again he gets deviated from the path.